You might have heard of Bindusara. Maybe not. Nevertheless, it is clear to anyone that he has a warrior spirit by looking at his appearance alone. Also the fact that he never takes a bath. It distracts the enemy, he always said. Not that he really needs that extra tool. His arrogance was terrifying enough to scare the most. The war elephants even more so. I fear this overconfidence in himself will get the better of him. Oh, and me? My name is Ashoka, the oldest son of the Emperor. That is at least the case after the death of my older brother, Tsushima. There is no need to talk about him as he managed to fuck up such a bright future. The fall of Alexander had spread even to the far reaches of India. His so-called successors now fight over what they think is rightfully theirs. Pathetic, the whole lot of them. Antiochus, Ptolemy, none will surpass the likes of Alexander. He's the only Greek I truly respect. His achievements were beyond anything ever seen before, if they are true. Who knows? For as much as I know, it was just a scheme to establish Hellenic dominance over India and Persia. Their biggest mistake. My father is now determined for revenge on these kingdoms of the West. I support his honorable quest, don't get me wrong, but, and it's a big but, we don't have the men. The equipment isn't that remarkable either. If just he spent more time to unite the tribes from back home, it might be different. Yet again, his quest for prestige goes above reason and strategy. Impatience, arrogance, and honor. The lords couldn't have made a worse combination for a ruler. This also meant the management of our territory became my concern. Public order, trade, and so forth. Thankfully, our extensive and rare supply of spice was a resource of great value to the Western nations. An advantage that would make us quite rich, if I should say so myself. Same for the kingdoms of Arabia, who sold our products out to unknown lands through the Middle Sea. I don't know to whom they sell this, only that they carry an eagle on their banners. Perhaps if I ask my father nicely, he will allow me to embark on a side quest with my companions to take control of this incense and spice trade route and get a full monopoly while he fulfills his vision. With the master of ships Swaraj having improved our naval capabilities, I could land with an army at Muscat, maybe even combine their forces to my father's. Then we will surely prevail in dealing with these Hellenic scum. The first half of the year went on rather easily. Bindusara was preparing for his invasion of Persia by enlisting the largest army of archers possible. Just like the King of Kings once said, we will darken the sky. Asagartha, one of our neighboring kingdoms, heard of our intentions in fighting the Seleucids and declared independence. However, they must have misunderstood my father's intentions. He would not let them grow within their borders while he marched on the Seleucids. Instead, he used them as target practice. Their towns and ports will prove to be useful for my own plans for Arabia. It was around this time I got married to Eshita, an influential woman whose cunning mind offered many opportunities for the future and perhaps even an heir. My eager father kept going further inland, leaving the coastline for the treacherous desert. Here he captured Kamara and the marvelous wonder that is the Archibald citadel. I would have advised against this, until after I heard what he got out of it. The wonder, of course, but apparently also trade routes to other Seleucid vessels. His plan might be to instigate a revolt and lead a coalition against Antiochus. That would explain the inferior army, but I'm not certain. Clearly, he didn't need my help. Seeing a chance to ask for permission to secure our spice routes, I took it. Luckily, my father accepted, allowing me to muster a force in my own name. Not as impressive as the king's, of course, yet still something to fear. Hopefully, it is not his overconfidence in himself that made him accept my offer. There could have been a better moment to leave, as my wife literally just found out I have a bastard son. Off I go to the transports from my own internal enemy to an external one across the sea. The most difficult part about operating independently from my father is the fact that I won't be able to save him if anything goes wrong. However, now it is time for me to make a name for myself, as I land at the coast near Muscat. I might be severely outnumbered, but our speed will give us an edge. Or so it would only turn out in my dreams. It was a shameful defeat in this foolish quest for prestige and gold. How I survived this battle can only be thanks to the sword training with my father from when I was younger. As I returned home, I ordered Basha, my best friend, to muster a new army. One with trained elephants to assist in battle. If we want to deal with these desert tribes, we need powerful weapons unknown to them. In the meantime he did that, I would return to my father's side in shame. The great Bindusara seemed to have everything under control though. My predictions for his master plan was wrong. It was not to unite the kingdoms of the Middle East, but rather to divide and conquer. He had already betrayed Parsa, defeating a smaller force near Persepolis, took Perseus right before reinforcements could arrive, and now pursued them instead. I truly have much to learn. However, with my arrival, I took away my father's focus. It was just enough for the Atropatkan kingdom to snatch up some of the territories he otherwise would have had for himself. I'm honestly surprised he didn't punish me for this. Instead, he took his skirmisher force down to Charax and destroyed the garrison, with me only being allowed to work as one of his bodyguards. Although this is degrading, we might be able to learn something valuable for our second invasion of Arabia by being this close to the general himself. Due to my extreme focus on military matters as of late, it also meant public order within our lands started to deteriorate. It even came so far at one point that Perseus rebelled under the leadership of Monobazos. Yet after realizing the hardship of managing an empire, and me, Ashoka, back in command of my own army, stood outside his gates, he instantly gave up his rule. I chose to spare Monobazos, as he had the love of the Persian people within our lands. Plus, I didn't want to make a martyr of him. He might become useful in the future. For now, it was time to continue mustering men into our army and prepare our quest for redemption. During these times of recruitment, we didn't want our enemies across the strait to get comfortable enough to mount a counterattack. Thus we sent out our small fleet of 7 warships and a supply crew to raid their coast. As long as this war raged, it meant our spice trade didn't reach the other side of Arabia and Egypt. Our income was significantly weakened by this, even more so with me mustering an even more impressive army than before. However, this didn't turn out well, as most of our Mauryans would never see the light of day again, fallen under my command once more. Twice I have sent men to their death in Arabia. Twice I have failed my father. There wouldn't be a third. That task was for my brother. He had acquired a head from a battle, and supposedly it had started to talk. Something about it cursing him or something. Luckily, he is not the heir, just a governor from the western borders of our massive empire stretching over most of India. During our voyage across the sea, it became clear to us the main Muscat army had marched off into the desert. Fortune must be on our side. It seems like they were too occupied with mustering more men, like we were earlier. We must have caught them by surprise. Standing on an elephant is way better as a general. It gives me way more visibility over the battlefield, plus the opportunity to turn the tides of battle if needed. From here I saw something weird in the distance. The garrisoning force had clumped up into a massive blob at one of the streets. The perfect chance to mimic my father with his use of skirmishers. My Mauryan longbowmen knocked their arrows and darkened the sky. After mostly running out of ammo, I ordered the infantry to charge. As the port was ours, I counted our losses. Almost none, less than 100. Unless you count our many other attempts, that is. I will never forgive myself for letting this many men die under my command. Let it be a lesson for the future. I will never underestimate an enemy. We hunted down the last army that had started to starve without food or proper shelter from the sun. Not the toughest of challenges. That comes next. Now we need to march further inland through the greatest defense the Arabians had. The desert. It was a long march that took well over a year. Not to alert the tribes of the region, we didn't express our intentions in their lands until we were right outside their walls. This city belonged to Saba, a fierce warrior tribe whose men have been at war with the southern tribes of Arabia for decades. Their remaining forces must be down there somewhere. This settlement was a major trade hub in the spice trade route, meaning it will be of major importance for us. Plus the Sabaeans have built something extraordinary here. A great dam which helped their agricultural sector as well as overall growth. Now it will serve Maurya. We might have secured one city, but my quest for monopolizing the spice and incense routes have just begun. There are many enemies ahead of us. Saba and the other tribes of Arabia are dangerous, being able to traverse areas restricted from us. Egypt to the far west, controlling the gateway to the rest of the world. Medewi and their sharp aim and gold supply. The Nabateans to the north and their camel warriors. Not to forget the many enemies that might stop our operations in the west for good by defeating my father Bindusara. Once my forces had replenished, I gathered everything we had and marched into the scorching hot desert. The greatest enemy of all.